Ooh wee! What a night! What a weekend, ladies and gentlemen. At the time of this recording, I just got back home from Boston, and the traffic was literally insane. It was a little bit crazy. I actually while I was there, I actually wanted to try and start off with like the streaming with the whole Andrew Tate situation with Milk Bar. But because I had like so much stuff really under my plate and I was really gassed from the long drive, I want to try and hold it off until I had like enough time to see if I can try and get as much as I can on this guy here today, so we could see what's really going on with these streets when it comes to the top G and all of his weird self-snitching antics with all the criminal activity that him and his brother mainly done did and all that other stuff. Right, so it befuddles me, but it doesn't surprise me based on who Andrew Tate really is. And to give like a big advancement, I owe everyone a huge apology for those that watched the part one video of this whole stream. The sound and the visuals. Actually, the visuals were good, but the sound wasn't really fully there because I had the headphones. But unfortunately, you guys weren't able actually to hear the sound from what went on during that recording, which was a bit bummer on my end. I made a flaw on that end on the beginning of the video, and for that, I truly apologize. So, what I will do, ladies and gentlemen, is I will be continuing on because what we've actually went through with the first 4 minutes is like just some minor quick intro stuff when Andrew Tate is, but right now we are going to get into the meat of the bones on what's really going on up in these streets right now when it comes to Andrew Tate. So let's cut to the chase right now and actually just go play this video. All right. So let's see what the heck is going on. Before I move forward, it's possible that there could be profanity. Actually, there will be profanity actually being shown and spewed out in this video and probably on my part. So for those that actually currently watching, I have like the E logo on there because this has some very strong language with the recording I have, as well as some language on my end as well that I could spew out in the heat of the moment. Viewer discretion is advised. If you guys aren't comfortable really watching the rest of the stream right away, especially shut off at this point right now. Let's get rolling.
Know what the actual document number is, but you can get that off of their own court web portal. So all of the things that we're going to talk about today are coming directly from Romania.
80-page indictment.
Media. They were sent directly to us from the Bucharest court.
Oh, wow.
They're originally sent out in Romanian. We translate them to English. It's also important to note that because these are sex crimes, that they are heavily redacted for everyone's privacy.
Makes sense.
Should we begin? Let's stop breaking this down.
Firstly, it is common knowledge that I used to run a webcam company. This is something I have talked about myself at length on multiple podcasts. Everybody knows I used to do this. This is a business I was involved in about 10 years ago, and I ceased all activity pertaining to anything sexually related 5.5 years.
Pause. Okay, so that is verifiably false. In the actual indictment itself, there are multiple victim statements, and one of the victim statements, victim summaries, and one of those, the latest one, it happened in 2022. And it says in the period from the end of 2022 to another redacted date of 2022.
So basically, it actually occurred throughout a period of that year of 2022, in other words.
The defendant, Andrew Tate, through the Instagram application, following meetings in
that year,
deceived the victim by falsely inducing her about the intention of establishing a marriage relationship.
Coercion. Remember that. Coercion, manipulation, and fraud. Okay? Fraud, coercion, manipulation, the whole 9 yards. That's what it came down to. And y'all Andrew Tate fuckboys are going to claim, oh, he's some sort of hero, and like these women are literally losing it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, these women said I had the choice to walk away, but y'all didn't do it. Now they were fooled into doing something like this. They were manipulating doing stuff like this and don't even have the strength to walk away until now.
Instance of false feelings. This is called the Leverboy method. In another period between specific dates of 2020.
Man, this motherfucker is sick.
Luana Radu and Georgiana Nagao, both of them have been charged with him by exercising physical violence and psychological coercion resulting from actions of intimidation.
Attorney Bruce Rivers, as he said, force, fraud, coercion. There we go.
Surveillance, control, and invoking false.
Oh, man.
They provided shelter for the victim in a specific building at a redacted address. They also transported her from the UK to Romania, together with defendant Georgiana Nagel, with the aim of sexually exploiting her by forcing her to engage in pornographic activities for the production and distribution of pornographic materials using the website onlyfans.com, which is a sex site, 2022, and by subjecting her to forced labor.
That's literally last year, at the time that Andrew Tate was literally blowing up big and promoting his own stuff in the Fresh Fit podcast. That's how I first know about him.
The website TikTok.com.
Oh my God.
To attract over 1,000 followers. And it's important to note how TikTok was used in this. TikTok was used as a way to break in new girls who didn't even know about OnlyFans or were not ready to work on OnlyFans. They would first butter them up, get them having fun with other girls on TikTok.
Manipulation.
Them into getting their own TikTok account. Then they would get them monetized.
And now that TikTok barred Andrew Tate, that channel is already broken from having new women literally come by up in his webcam service. That's why he had to end it, due to the fact that TikTok really shut him down.
What the forced labor would come from.
Golly.
They would start making money. They would start manipulating them through various ways to try to get them to work on OnlyFans. So it was kind of a gateway drug to get models to work on OnlyFans. So verifiably false right out of the gate. The last one happened in 2022. They were still actively involved in OnlyFans, where you can do webcam inside of OnlyFans, you can make pornographic videos inside of OnlyFans, and you can make pornographic images inside of OnlyFans. And I believe you have a video from 2020. He did an interview with the YouTube channel called Trip Advice, where he talks about still having some webcam girls left in 2020. And it's important to note that they cleverly say we haven't been involved in quote unquote webcam, when what they actually did was they transferred over to OnlyFans, where they can do everything behind a paywall, where it's a lot more private. So they can take the webcamming and the pornography inside OnlyFans. So they're very clever about how they shape the narrative.
Manipulation.
For 4 years, I ran a webcam studio, which people find very interesting. I had naked girls sitting on the internet talking to guys, and they all worked for me. So I guess in many ways, I was a digital pimp. So when I joined Twitter and these kind of things.
And this motherfucker right here is self-snitching. That right there. This fuckface right here literally self-snitched on criminal activity right in front of the whole world to see on YouTube, which is still out today. That video is literally still out for the whole world to see. And wonder why his ass got caught. What a fucking dumbass.
After Trump's election, I kind of jumped on Twitter and the internet, and everyone's like, "You do what? That's weird." And they're like, "Well, you must know a thing or two about girls. We've never seen females or male-female dynamics approach from this particular angle before." And that's kind of how I ended up here. So
you don't like, do you do that still?
I have 3 girls who still work for me, but it's not like it was before.
Okay, so that was from January 2020.
Boom.
However, there are victim summaries and victim statements in Romania that have him working in 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Damn.
So we're off to a bad start.
So I've been out in this industry for a very long time.
Nah, you're not.
And I stopped 5.5 years ago.
Verifiably false.
Nah, it's all verified, dog. You lying.
I operated in a few different countries because I was semi-nomadic, traveling around the world. I had some girls who I worked with, some good friends of mine, and I operated in a few different places. I want to start by saying that there are over 2,000 video chat companies inside of Romania, that there are over 600 of them in Bucharest, in the city I'm sitting in right now, that it is not illegal, perhaps.
Pause. What he's doing right now is gaslighting everyone.
Of course he's fucking gaslighting. He's trying to save his own ass. The difference between the rest of these other companies is that they actually were being forthright to those women and letting themselves know what they're getting themselves into. Some of them. And others are a little bit way more slick with it, and they're not literally bragging behind the scenes. But if they go on the legal route, they gotta let the woman know basically what they're getting themselves into, what they're doing, what they expect, and all that stuff. And they have them read a legal document with their lawyers, saying down the requirements and the boundaries have maybe in order for them to really participate in that little webcam business they have up in the country of Romania.
Planting that seed in your
dumbass
that what he's doing is perfectly legal, and it's important to understand
manipulation.
The business of OnlyFans, in the business of webcamming, in the business of making pornography, that is legal so long as everyone is over the age of 18.
Ding ding.
However, he has not been charged for simply running.
And they agree with it. That's another thing. And they consent to it. That's another thing, too, you want to actually really trying to point out as well.
Cam studio running webcam, he is specifically charged with human trafficking, specifically human trafficking in continued form.
Boom.
And that has nothing to do with the legality of OnlyFans or webcam.
Nothing.
Important that people understand that. Keep going.
That is
Because he held the woman against their will, basically. You know, he held the women way longer, manipulated them without their knowledge.
Immoral. I'll entertain that argument. But you certainly cannot say it is illegal because it isn't. Every girl in Miami has an OnlyFans. In fact, I think it's Canada and USA.
Yeah, none of this is relevant to this.
So these Americans who are coming at me saying, you did pornography to American school of porn stars. LA school of porn stars.
Like,
gaslighting
him of illegally running a webcam studio, even though in Romania, they did not have any employment contracts for the girls working for him. But no one is actually, he's not charged with running an illegal business. He's charged with human trafficking in continued form, along with other crimes of forming an organized crime group and rape in continued form. None of that has anything to do with the legality of the pornography industry.
Oh my God.
Immoral, yes, but illegal, no. You literally have people having sex on camera for real with each other, and that's all accepted and perfectly legal. So a girl sitting there with a keyboard telling a guy, yeah, you're so hot, isn't illegal either. What they're saying, though, is that I use the lover boy method.
Pause. All right, what is the lover boy method? What is he actually being charged with? He's being charged of human trafficking in continued form. And it's called in continued form because this started off with multiple human trafficking allegations. One of the misconceptions is that these charges were dropped and there's only one left. When in fact, what happened was they were consolidated into a heavier charge that carries 3 more years of prison time if they're convicted and given a maximum sentence.
13 years.
If originally they were convicted of human trafficking, they would get 10 years. But if they're convicted of human trafficking in continued form,
they get 13
years. So it's a consolidated form of human trafficking. Now, the lover boy method, to read this, it means lover boys or Romeo pimps are human traffickers who usually operate.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. That's the pimping that like a lot of rappers brag about, PIMPing. Huh? That is a hardcore pimp right there. Andrew Tate. A certified hardcore pimp. And a sicko. Right? That's wrong.
By trying to make young girls or boys fall in love with them. Once they have the victims under their influence, they exploit them. For instance, in the sex industry.
You cannot get a girl to work for you having fun. So the recruitment process is the same as the PhD course.
And the PhD, according to Andrew Tate, and let me be very clear, this is not in terms of doctor of philosophy. I was a PhD candidate for about 1.5 years, and studying mathematics up there. This is not that type of PhD that Andrew Tate is talking about. PhD is pimping hoes degree. His words, not mine. Oh, God.
You message them on Instagram. The PhD course is my recruitment system. I don't mention webcam.
There we go. Manipulation.
Sex with the girl. If you're on date,
a mini manipulation. A mini coercion. And I've discussed with this like earlier with Tate like a while ago on this.
You're trying to mention it and shit. It just doesn't work. It puts them off. I'd never do that. That's disgusting. I'm not a whore. It's just not gonna work. You continue as normal. No mention of webcam. You fuck the girl. After you fuck the girl, you do the PhD test. If she passes the PhD test and she wants to be with you, then you start mentioning things like, yeah, but you know, you're always busy. You're always at work. You can come work for me.
So he's talking about the PhD test, and he's talking about how he uses the loverboy method. He's talking about how he doesn't act.
Basically having like traditional submissive girlfriends up here, manipulate them to be up in this webcam business. Yo, this motherfucker is literally dishonest and evil. And you wonder why we got feminism literally existing. You wonder why you got a lot of modern women literally out there today, spewing this stuff they spewing right now. Through the charm like this and motherfuckers really acting an ass. Being deceitful, being evil. This is one of the reasons why.
Tell them about
oh my
after
God.
sex with them, and then they do the PhD test. So speaking about the PhD test, this was actually on his original site, CobraTate.com. There's video evidence of him talking about owning CobraTate.com.
Dumbass.
Allegations of not owning it. He said the PhD program wasn't his. This is all documented stuff. So on the PhD program on the website, it actually says where they sold it. My job was to get women to fall in love with me. Literally, that was my job. My job
slam
was
the case,
girl,
man.
go on a few dates, sleep with her, test
what
her
an idiot.
get her to fall in love with me to where she would do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together. Now, the fact that she gets paid or makes some of that money, that doesn't matter in this particular case because he also didn't pay them fairly for a lot of these situations, which we could get into later.
Money laundering.
Agree or disagree with
that right there. Actually, take it a step further, talking about avoiding tax and all stuff, money laundering, tax evasion, getting hit with that as well. Oh, what a fucking mess.
I did with their loyalty, submission, and love for me. It doesn't matter. You cannot reject the results, and the results are simple. My girlfriends would do more for me than 99.9% of men's wives would do for them.
Oh my
this is
God.
the Loverboy method, right? You
delusion.
Recruit women for the purpose of getting them to fall in love with you. You build a false relationship,
coercion
with that woman,
fraud,
for the purpose of manipulating her through various methods to get her to work in the commercial sex industry, which can be webcam or making various forms of pornography.
Oh my
and if
God.
you go and you look at that original document that we had from 2022, and by the way, there's 7 victims in this particular case. Each one of them have their own story. In the indictment, they have victim summaries. They show very clearly that he's being accused of deceiving the victim by falsely inducing her about the intentions of establishing a marriage relationship in the existence of false feelings. That is, by definition, the lover boy method of human trafficking.
That's coercion.
Lover boy
Boom.
Is not a crime. Human trafficking
is a human crime.
Lover boy is just a method.
It's deceit
in the act of human trafficking.
Because that's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make
them
love me, and make them work for me. And that's how I got rich. So that teaches everything I know from start to finish about not only getting girls, not only obtaining them, but retaining them. Because that's a completely different game as well. So I teach everything I know in there.
What he just explained was lover boy trafficking. And it's important to note that his PhD course and the OnlyFans course that he was selling would teach other young men how to do the exact thing that he has been charged with. Important to note that there are people in Romania that were students of his. One of them is Vlad Obo, how you pronounce his last name. He has been arrested in Romania along with accomplices for human trafficking as well. So his students are now being arrested for human trafficking. They learned from Andrew Tate.
Damn!
They are now being charged with human trafficking as well.
I want to make it clear that when these charges appeared, every single girl who ever worked for me all those years ago, when I had this TV chat company, has been contacted by authorities, and every single one of them defended me.
He is not a human trafficker. He would never rape anybody.
Now, you got some women that would definitely say this stuff, but there are others that actually go with Jetson and Adley, go against the grain and go balls out. I'm being fully honest with what the heck is actually going on. And then there's some that actually say this stuff out of manipulating, coercion by like the bottom bitches that they have, and trying to make sure that he stays safe. So those Romanian authorities are not fooled at all. They're not dumb.
They would certainly never ever human traffic anyone either, including his brother. They would never do such thing. I am just so shocked, and I'm so fed up with all of these lies. But
yeah, he's out here literally doing a substance and teaching people teaching dudes how to be pimps. You know what I mean? Teaching dudes how to manipulate women and actually try and trick them into being webcam girls to try and make extra profit without their knowledge and deceive them until they pay and lie to them. Nah, something's wrong with y'all.
Pause. Okay, so there are 7 victims in this case.
Right.
Currently.
Yes.
On the day of their indictment, they announced the disjointment of some of the allegations that they were looking into, some of the charges they were thinking about charging them with. Those are now a second investigation. It's important to note there are a lot of things that they were originally looking into the brothers for. The indictment is for one set of charges. Now, in this current indictment, this particular girl named Vivian is Andrew's quote unquote bottom bitch during a particular time with some of these victims. She is implicated in the actual documents in this particular case. She's mentioned about being his girlfriend Vivian, where some of the victims had actually met her. And there's another area in a victim summary where they redacted the name, but during 2018, together with a person named, and they redacted, that very well could be Vivian as well.
Oh my God.
Note that she is tattooed with his name, and he, why don't you just play the video so everybody knows how long ago he met Vivian and how old she was. So you can play that video to add more context of why Vivian.
What a fucking sicko, man.
I've had it where I've had girls who say,
"Oh God,
Vivian, I know you've been with her a long time. I don't mind. I'll stay out tonight. You two stay alone." All that shit. And it never lasts long because the ones who are really in love with you won't do that. You actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years. It's difficult, and I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me. Everything. And we met and we felt whatever. We're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, "Oh yeah, I started off working for him, and it's just how it worked out." She'll super downplay it. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28. Vivian's like 21.
Pause for a second. He already said that he's been with Vivian for 6 years. Now he says that Vivian's 21. Keep playing.
Vivian's younger. She's more fun, more outgoing. Melissa's really quite, not in a bad way. She's more homey.
What?
Sits at home. So if you're going to pair a girl with a girl, it's much easier if the girl's.
Yeah. The charges do make sense now. You want to know why? You wonder why they hit him with statutory rape. Oh my fucking God.
Taking Andrew at his word here, which may or not be true.
Sick.
If it's true, according to the math, he's been with her since she's been
15.
Years old.
Fucking sick.
Now, a girl has been with him since the age of 15, who is his bottom bitch.
Naive.
Implicated in the current case.
She's
not a victim. She's not a witness, but she is mentioned. You have to ask yourself, why would she make a video defending him? There's a good
coercion.
She's also a victim herself. And for that second investigation, we don't know yet if she's part of that, but I would not be surprised if she ends up being part of that in some capacity.
Oh my God.
Relationship process with Vivian. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long.
Hey, yo, this fucker, if they getting on this stuff, this fucker is really gonna be gone for a long time. I promise you that.
Relationship thing. I was living in England. It's a really long story. I don't want to tell you the whole story. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company, which I started.
Oh my fucking God.
A couple girls in love with you. It's the fucking easiest money in the world.
Oh God.
It's not easy money. You got to build it up, but once you get girls built up, then it's free. Like every other business, you got to build it up. I decided I want to start a webcam business. Vivian's beautiful. I said, "Look, stop being a waitress. Come here to live with me." She came. Everything was fine for a couple of weeks. Melissa obviously lived in England. They didn't know about each other. They found out. They tried to have a big argument with me. I did exactly as I said, downplayed it, didn't give a shit. Everyone moved in together. Everyone started doing webcam. I was making loads of money. Then we agreed to the split, like we said. And that's basically been it. Since then, new girls have come along. Vivian understands that I'm fucking these hoes, but I don't care about these hoes.
Okay. So she's his bottom bitch. She doesn't care. She doesn't care what else he's doing with the girls. And she is implicated in this current indictment. So in terms of why would she make this video, you can probably ask yourself, yeah, why would she do that? She's tattooed with his name. She's been with him since the age of 15, possibly 16. She was an accomplice in breaking some of these girls down. So she's involved. And she's possibly a victim herself.
I just want to put out there that everything you're seeing on the news right now is all false accusations. As for someone who knows him personally, I can confidently say that he's such a nice man. He's very generous. He's always been respectful of me and others around him. Like I've witnessed him.
But yet the 7 people that accuse him of all this trauma and everything, like those are different. Have you referred to those as well? It's getting very messy right now.
Situations surrounded by women, men, children, families, and he's always respected everyone. Always very nice to people, very generous, so kind. I think the media is just portraying a really bad image of him right now, and it's not fair because he actually generally is a really good person.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with the case.
In the case, but I believe her name is Lex.
That has nothing to do with the case whatsoever. None. Give me 1 second. Let me try to find my phone. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there it is. Right in my head. Golly. My apologies. Let's continue.
On Twitter, there's someone who goes by Dating Coach Lex who looks and sounds exactly like her. But in terms of any relevance to the case, I don't know how she's involved. So continue on.
All 100% of them, not a single one of them has made a complaint against me. Not a single one of them has complained about the way they were treated. Not a single one of them has complained about the way they were recruited or the work they did. In fact, every single one who has been contacted by authorities, and trust me, they've all been found, has written statements in my defense.
Pause. Okay, so everyone except for the victims in the case claims that he has not done anything with them. So, giving him the benefit of the doubt on this one, if he says that every single one of them has a written statement in his defense, then obviously he's going to be able to show that in court in his defense. But at this point, we're running on trust me, bro. So we'll see.
Nobody is complaining about it. The criminal charges against me pertain to an organized criminal group which began in 2021.
Pause. Okay, so that is actually true. The charge of forming an organized criminal group, they're alleging that it began in the beginning of 2021 in the territory of Romania. And this is where it's going to start getting juicy. Continue.
Considering that
juicy
webcam that they were related to was all back in 2016, 2017. They have nothing at all to do with the criminal file.
Pause. Okay, this is verifiably false. So, in the indictment itself, what he's being charged with, one particular victim statement, victim summary here mentioned
2016. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. Right around the time that Trump got elected.
That this starts in 2016. So he's trying to confuse people here by saying that nothing matters past 2021. That is verifiably incorrect because that's only for the charge of forming an organized criminal group. Right. It has nothing to do with the charges of human trafficking or the main charge of human trafficking in continued form. Right. It has nothing to do with the charge of rape in continued form.
Right.
He's confusing people with
manipulating the public.
See in the indictment itself, it says in the
this fucker is so narcissistic and so self-centered, and you wonder why he's sick in the head. He's literally a demonic sociopath.
Period. And of course, they redacted some of the exact dates here.
Right.
In the period from 2016 to 2017, the defendant Andrew Tate, using an application, which they redacted, while in Romania, deceived the victim by falsely inducing her about the intention to establish a family marriage relationship in the existence of false feelings. Then they go on in the period of 2017. The defendant transported her from the UK to Romania, as well as in specific areas where they provided shelter for her in a specific building, as well as in the United Kingdom within a period in 2018. During this time, together with a person named Blank, which is quote unquote his bottom bitch, they subjected the victim to physical violence and psychological coercion resulting from the actions of intimidation, surveillance, and control with the aim of sexually exploiting her. They forced her to engage in pornographic activities for the production and distribution of pornographic materials using the website redacted, just webcam site. The victim activated this through the account with the username redacted during the period of 2018. So this particular victim starts in 2016, which means that anything is relevant starting in 2016, moving forward. And this is specifically about webcamming. So right out of the gate, it's just we're getting caught in a lot of lies already.
They're not in the criminal file. They're not translated to be in the criminal file. They have nothing at all to do with the case.
Wrong. That is verifiably false. We just proved that wrong.
I can't talk too much about the case against me, but what I can tell you is the rough outlines. In April of last year, 2 international visitors came here. They had a nice time, went to parties, asked for some money to go shopping. They were denied. They then said they were kidnapped. CCTV proved that that was a lie.
Okay, pause. Okay, so that is also a verifiable lie. It's important to understand that the victim herself never claimed to be kidnapped. Now, a lot of you have seen the infamous WhatsApp logs, and the Tate's, the PR team first leaked these, and they showed you just parts of the chat. And they were
I discussed this earlier in my videos. Go check them out. I discussed like the full transcript of these up on my videos, up on that playlist. The Gunning of Andrew Tate. Y'all, please check them out. All right.
If you look at the entire chats, and the prosecutor has those entire chats, and we have copies of the entire chat, the girls were actually planning an escape from the brothers. And these are just parts of the chat where she's having a conversation with her parents. She's saying, I'm leaving London in a couple of days. Tristan and his brother are terrible people. I'm bringing a girl with me that's stuck here with me. Maybe I came here for a reason, cutting my losses, and we're making a plan to leave. These guys are actually evil. Now, she's talking to her parents at this particular time. The parents say, be very careful. Talk to the American embassy if you can.
And we've already discussed this. We're going to skip this part right here. All this we're going to skip out already because we've already discussed this earlier.
Parents called the embassy on her behalf, and I believe the parents may have mentioned kidnapping. That was the catalyst to kick off the April raid where the police went into the Tate compound. And when they found them there,
April 2022,
this girl, this victim, along with another victim, had locked themselves in a room. They locked themselves in a room and they were rescued by the police. They were planning on getting out. The parents foiled that plan. And deeper into the chats, she actually has a fight with her parents. She was angry that they called the embassy. Nowhere in the documentation, anywhere, did the victims accuse them of kidnapping them. There was a brief investigation based on the initial claim of kidnapping, but Romania stopped investigating that because they realized it was not true. The charge here is human trafficking. It is not kidnapping. So these particular girls, one of the things that they stated to the parents was that they were, and as part of the plan was, they put a plan together to make the brothers believe that they'd fallen in love with the brothers. And the whole point of that was so that they could gain some more freedom, so that maybe they might be able to move to another house, so they might be able to sneak out while they were sleeping. The whole conversation about the Oscars and Netflix, those were the two girls, the two victims, sarcastically patting each other on the back for deceiving the brothers and making the brothers believe that they'd fallen in love with them. That was completely taken out of context and framed in a way that they were trying to set the brothers up. You can go read the entire chat transcript, and it clearly displays an escape plan. Now, it's important to note with this CCTV footage, this is the evidence where they claim that the girls were not kidnapped. So again, no one was kidnapped. No one has been charged with kidnapping. They have been charged with human trafficking. A lot of people don't understand what human trafficking actually is. And the image that you're going to put on the screen, this is an international standard of what human trafficking is. 181 countries have agreed upon this basic standard of human trafficking. The prosecutor needs to prove that there was an act, there was a means, and there was a purpose or intent.
That right there.
And how this
that right there.
Case, they recruited women using Instagram app, various dating apps.
And admitted it.
Recruited the women.
Mm-hmm.
That was the act. They also transported the women from their home countries back to Romania. And one of the things that these people love to do is get these women away from their safety nets, get them away from people who can help them. They bring the women in and they make these women dependent on them. So they recruited them and they transported them. They would transfer them and they would even harbor them. Okay, so they have multiple acts. Now the means would be deception. And you can see that a little bit further down. They deceived the women by building false relationships with the women. These
violence.
Women thought that they were going to Romania. Most of the women, not all, most of the women thought that
they were going to
Romania for the purpose of being a girlfriend or a wife of one of the brothers. They had no idea that they were going to work in pornography or webcam. They had no idea. So they were deceived into that. Okay, so that's the means. So you have an act, you have multiple acts, you have a means, then you have a purpose or intent of sexual exploitation. And in this particular case, it is for commercial sex work, which is for OnlyFans or
prostitution
or making any sorts of pornography whatsoever. So you have an act, you have a means, and you have a purpose or intent. And that is the international standard for human trafficking. So when you're looking at the CCTV footage and you see the girls walking around and they say, we haven't restricted their movement. They can walk around freely. Yes, they can, because you haven't been charged with kidnapping.
Not yet.
You didn't chain someone up.
No.
This has nothing to do with their restricted movement.
It's not overt.
To do with how you manipulated them into webcam, how you recruited them, how you manipulated them through deception, transported them for the purpose of sexual exploitation. That's what the human trafficking charge is. These girls can walk around the compound if they want, but you'll note there is CCTV footage that shows, and they're trying to use this as evidence, which is insane, that some of the girls who actually left, they actually left with chaperones. So the chat logs that they have, the verified chat logs between Andrew and the victims, he specifically tells one of the victims that she's not allowed to go out unless she can go out with Yasmina or Georgiana or one of the other bottom bitches or enforcers. So they're free to move around the compounds, but they can't actually leave unless they're chaperoned by people that the Tates dictate as the chaperones. So there is some level of restricted movement, but that's not even why they were charged.
Nah.
After that happened, DCOT had an open criminal file against us and decided to thoroughly investigate. I cannot explain why it took so long.
We can briefly tell you why this took so long. So they were raided.
They're thorough on this shit.
U.S. Embassy kicked this whole thing off, and they rescued two girls who had locked themselves in a room. The reason this took so long because it was at that moment the Romanian police realized that something more nefarious was happening, and they launched into an investigation to see what else was going on. They monitored them. They started watching girls going in and out of the house.
8 months.
Right? And keep in mind, they were still active in OnlyFans in 2022.
Yeah.
The girl houses where the girls were working, the Tate compound, people were coming in and out. They started watching the movements, watching the girls come in and out, and they started trying to put together some sort of an idea of what could be happening there. Through that time from April to December, through various wiretaps, through watching them, tracking them, they figured out that they were involved in some sort of a human trafficking. And then they arrested them in December with the accusations of human trafficking.
That makes sense.
They ended up finding the victim for rape and for organized crime. So in terms of why this took so long, you have 4 defendants. You have at least 7 victims. There's 7 victims in this particular case. For the second new investigation, we don't know how many victims are involved there. It could be 1, it could be 100. We have no idea.
Who knows?
So they were slowly investigating this. They've got one shot. Romania has to walk up to the bat or walk up to the plate. They get to swing the bat once. And if they don't hit, it's game over. So there's a very slow process. 4 defendants, at least 7 victims, multiple witnesses, and it's an international crime scene. So this is going to be a very slow-moving process. DICOT, which is the Romania's version of the FBI, they're understaffed, they're not very big, and they're underfunded. Plus, they're tackling all the other things that are happening in Romania at the same time. So even though this gentleman and his brother are celebrities, they're not getting special treatment. They don't get to cut in front of the line. So it's a criminal investigation. It takes a while.
I cannot explain why the case file remains dormant for such a long time. For some reason, around the time of my cancellation, which is certainly a coincidence, they decided to pick up this idea and find proof that I do use the lover boy method to convince girls to do sexual work. They contacted every single girl who knows me. All girls denied this and defended me.
Except for the ones in the case who were accusing him.
So they then found 2 girls in which I was telling them how to make themselves famous on TikTok.
Regarding TikTok, we also know that this case is primarily about OnlyFans, and there's one particular victim that's specifically about webcam. All the other victims, except for the rape victim, they specifically mention OnlyFans. So the fact that he keeps mentioning TikTok is he's just trying to confuse people, and it's working. You go online, people are talking about, I can't believe he's been charged with TikTok. No, TikTok was used as a gateway drug, as a way to help boil the frogs, so to speak, to get women more comfortable so they could work on OnlyFans.
What hours to work, how many videos to make, etc. They told these 2 girls they are victims and they're being exploited for money. The girls themselves said, we are not victims. This is insane. Andrew, we've never given Andrew any money.
I've never seen any of them being aggressive.
Pause. Okay, so these two women here, these are the two women everyone loves to talk about. These two women said that they are not victims. How can they still be victims? Well, we're going to talk about that. Number one, in a human trafficking investigation, if a prosecutor has found, or the police have found any evidence whatsoever that a woman could be a victim, she remains a victim until proven otherwise, because women get blackmailed, women get threatened with violence. There's all sorts of things that these human traffickers and pimps can hold over the victims to make them make false statements, as you're about to learn. While Andrew was in jail, his jail calls that were not made to the lawyers were recorded, which is normal procedure for any jail. During those jail calls, it was found out that these two women who are claiming not to be victims were in fact transported. When they were arrested, they were transported from Romania to Dubai, and they were instructed to make videos that presented the defendants in a favorable light. Specifically, they told them to make videos to say that they were not victims. These conversations were actually dated. They're time-stamped. What you're seeing here is a snippet out of the March document, the March 2023 document from Romania. These are prosecutor notes that have been translated. They have the actual dates and the timestamps of these documents. The full transcripts of these will end up going to trial to prove that Andrew did instruct them to say that they made the videos. So we have a heavily redacted version of this document. Rolling Stone magazine, as well as a couple of other media outlets, because they're journalists, they can get unredacted versions of the same documents. So Rolling Stone has a couple of, they ran a whole story on this, and they have a couple of points in here regarding the recorded jail calls. And I'm going to read some of those. On January 28th, he called his assistants, who patched him into a call with another associate. Tate needed supporters, women, backing him up too. He needed manipulation and female employees to talk about what a great guy he was and how he and his brother, who was also being held, were innocent. Okay, so these are recorded jail calls. So we watched the other two girls who said, oh, they're such great guys, they would never do this. They've got recorded jail calls, not only on these particular two women, but on all the women who's
they getting desperate, yo.
They were told to go out and fuck.
They getting desperate, yo.
People to make these videos. This is all documented. It goes on. The clips of the clips that the two Tate employees made. Okay, so the girls made the video saying they're not victims. So then the second conversation, these videos have already started going viral, and people are saying, I can't believe that they're still victims. So now they're trying to make it better. Goes on. Additional recorded conversations say the clips that two of the Tate employees made have views. They are good and they're hitting hard, he told the associate. According to the transcript of the wiretap phone calls from jail from February 21st court document obtained by Rolling Stone. The transcript has been translated from English to Romanian back to English. He says, keep going, good job, over and over again. Different ones, we need the girls to cry, to be frustrated, and to be angry. So they're looking for more girls to make videos, as well as getting the existing girls to make different videos where they cry, they seem frustrated, and they seem angry. This is all documented, and they're all going to trial on this, okay?
Wow.
Again, he pushes. There was an urgency. Time is running out. He said, you need to hurry up, Tate said on the call, according to the translation. If we slow down, we will end up waiting without making enough explosion so we can get the fuck away from here. Right? So these are part of the plans that Tate's trying to come up with while he's in prison, hoping that these video statements are somehow going to release him.
They're not dumb.
Then it goes on and says, but wiretap conversations from jail appear to show Tate passing instructions to women in his circle, some of whom are classified as victims by the Romanian prosecution, to speak out on his behalf.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. kind of weird to me. I try not to. All right, let's have some fun, y'all.
All of these women making these videos were found and instructed to make these videos, and they have it all documented on Tate's recorded jail calls. Now, I don't know how his attorneys did not give him a heads up that his jail calls were being recorded.
Dumb.
Got this. It's documented. I've seen the documents. I've seen parts of the transcripts because they're heavily redacted. Rolling Stone and some of the other media outlets have the unredacted versions. Now, there is part of a conversation that is a quote from the judge in one of the actual documents that came out of Romania. This is scathing. This is from a judge. This is not from police. This is not from the prosecutor. This is a judge that made a comment based on the evidence that they actually saw. And this is regarding, this is allegedly regarding the two girls who said they're not victims. The judge says, according to the criminal investigation documents, some of the victims made constant efforts to manage to escape from this state of veritable modern slavery. Many times, however, the emotional feelings toward the aggressor remained as aspect that from the defense constantly tries to capitalize on. So they were his girlfriends. These two victims who said they were not victims, they were his girlfriends. They had tattoos that said owned by Tate. So they're definitely victims on this. And that's why the judge wasn't falling for it. The prosecutor's not falling for it. They have the documentation.
There we go.
They have the chat logs. They have recorded jail calls. They have all of it. In the case of this category of victims, the period of mental recovery is long, and without the help of specialists, this is almost impossible. So there was a psychological evaluation made, and they had declared these two women brainwashed based on the evidence that they found.
Wow.
The branding comes up over and over again, doesn't it, the more you look into it?
Yeah, the branding actually comes up in the 86-page document that was obtained from Romania.
Boom.
Read part of that. It says the criminal activities of these defendants are a form of slavery, according to the prosecutor's office. Like 19th century U.S. slave owners branded their slaves with a red iron. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate defendants brand their victims with tattoos indicating that they are the defendant's property. For example,
what sickos, man?
Well, they have tattoos with a message owned by Tate.
Oh my God.
And keep in mind, Romania has a lot of problems with trafficking. So this isn't their first rodeo in terms of how they're going to handle this case. They are more than equipped to properly identify victims and people who are actually involved in human trafficking.
Or rude. They've always respected people.
Ai fost amenințată?
Nu. N-am fost niciodată. Dacă eram amenințată, automat nu mai eram idiotă să stau în casa asta. Suntem prieteni buni de 2 ani de zile, când așa nu poți să mă treci pe mine ca și victimă, dacă eu n-am spus că sunt o victimă.
Pause. Well, again, those are the two women who said that they are not victims because they were instructed to say that they were not victims. They are tattooed with Andrew's name that says, not just his name, they specifically say owned by Tate.
Oh,
they were branded as
what is sick?
They were transported.
What a sicko!
At the arrest by Tate's network.
Oh
the
my
girls denied this. They used this to throw us in jail. They then activated the media machine.
And this is who Fresh Fit rely on. This is who Jay Waller relies on. Roll Tomasi. All these other lames. All these pseudo alphas. This dude.
In an attempt to find what they wanted,
oh my
girls who were exploited, they put us all over the news in every single country in the world. They put us on billboards. They put us on the internet. They set up hotlines. They put all us over the BBC, all over the MSN, saying, Andrew's ever hurt you, call this number. They didn't have a case, and they're waiting for someone to come forward and give them what they wanted. Nobody came forward. There is nobody. I've done nothing wrong. At the absolute limit of the time they could wait for their golden goose to come forward, 6 months, to hold me under detainment.
Paul, so it's important to note when they were held under preventative detention measure, the prosecutor had 180 days to hold them while they continued their investigation, to really hold them. And they were able to hold them because they actually had evidence that crimes had been committed. They were just doing deeper investigations. It wasn't that they didn't have evidence. They had evidence to arrest them.
Yes.
Probable cause to arrest them.
Yes.
They were looking for additional evidence to support the evidence that they already found. And they actually uncovered additional crimes that got into the second investigation that has been started. And one the accusation of the possibility of being involved in trafficking minors. So in terms of being
oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Yo, these dudes are demons, man.
The 180 days, that was within their legal limit to do that. And if they didn't indict them by the end of the 180 days, they had to actually release them. But
Right.
they were within the legal rights to hold them the full 180 days. That
And
is
they
not
law.
a human rights violation. It is perfectly legal. Okay, so what they've actually been charged with, and Andrew has been lying to everyone about this. He's lied to Tucker Carlson, and you've probably seen your viral videos moving around. So Andrew Tate, this is directly from the translated indictment itself. He's been charged with 1 count of forming an organized criminal group, and that started in 2021, like you said.
Right.
He's also been charged with human trafficking in continued form.
Yeah.
And there are four victims that they've consolidated into that charge. He's also been charged with rape in continued form. There's 2 material acts there. And continued form means that it just happened more than once over a period of time. So he has been charged with sex crime. He has been charged with human trafficking, regardless of what he's saying that he hasn't. At this point, everything Andrew says is just trust me, bro.
It's garbage.
All of the documentation. Anyone has access to this documentation. They just have to contact Romania and Bucharest court, and they got to ask for this stuff. Anyone can find this out for themselves, while Andrew's relying on trust me, bro.
And again,
fuck out of here.
You see in this document, you got 2016, 2018 for the human trafficking.
Yeah, it's very clear there. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. For the human trafficking, they specifically mentioned 2016, 2018 to the period of 2022. They have the dates. They have the date. So him talking about 2021, nothing counts beyond that, is verifiably false. This starts at 2016. As he says, nothing that, they're playing the videos and nothing really counts for that. Okay, so what you're looking at here, this is out.
Holy shit. Y'all see this right here? All self-snitching right there. This right here is his words.
The large 86-page document that you've seen that was also obtained legally through Romania's Freedom of Information Act. This is on page 61, and they specifically are quoting Andrew out of multiple videos. Okay, they have Andrew's quotes out of multiple videos that they believe is very relevant to the case.
Self-snitching.
So Andrew talking about these don't count.
My God.
Absolutely count when you hear Andrew saying they're not in the case file. They are verifiably in the case file. When you hear people saying that they can't use videos in court, that is
bullshit. That's a lie.
Correct. These are in the case file. This
That's
stuff
cap.
is going to trial. They are using Andrew's own words against him.
Big dummies, man. Too much arrogance, too much ego and narcissism can get you balled up like this. What a devil.
All documented, and everybody can get access to this information too. So when Andrew's saying that all these things don't matter, they absolutely matter. He's downplaying 100% of this.
And they currently have the following case against them. 2 girls who said they were kidnapped on CCTV walking in and out of the house of their own free will, who were in Romania for a few days and then went to party and slept with friends.
Yeah. It's not about kidnapping. It's not human trafficking.
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking, not kidnapping.
You're deflecting.
And 2 girls who made TikTok videos who said they're not victims of anything, we've never given Andrew any money.
Pause.
Hold up.
It's not about TikTok.
No.
TikTok plays a very tiny part of this.
Small.
It's OnlyFans is about webcams. TikTok, but how they use TikTok in a particular way.
As a funnel.
They also use TikTok as a way to find customers.
Exactly.
So in addition to breaking girls down using TikTok, they would use TikTok live streams as a way to actually find customers to then move them through onto OnlyFans where they can actually monetize that customer. And again, the 2 girls who say they were not victims, it's verifiably false. He was caught instructing them to make those videos.
Dummy.
And they're trying to say that I made those girls do TikTok for massive financial gain, which is why I should lose all of my assets and all of my wealth in the world. That is the criminal case against me. It has nothing to do with the old webcam business I had. It has nothing to do with videos I made before.
Pause. Yeah, we've already just proved it. That is
he capped.
We already showed it on the screen. This specifically involves webcamming. It involves OnlyFans. It involves videos that he made before, his own statements. All of this is going to be held against him.
Dummy.
It's all involved in the case. It's all in the case file.
There's nothing to do with any of it. Now, as an ultimately accountable individual, do I understand why those videos may make authorities believe that if they hit you with the largest level of matrix attack, they're going to find you?
Pause. Yeah, I have to say that Andrew keeps pushing this matrix narrative, and his own attorney, one of his main attorneys in Romania, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said something along the lines of, I don't have time for the matrix narrative. I have a real job. And it's also important to note that in context of what's happening to Andrew Tate,
Morpheus training
more than the consequences of his actions.
Dumb.
He violated various terms in the social media platforms that got him kicked off of the platforms.
There we go.
He's being charged with human trafficking, being charged with rape, and he will not shut up about this case. Your video that went viral, it wasn't a Matrix attack. It was because he was actually lying about the charge.
You don't know how to shut the fuck up.
Everything is just consequences of his actions.
Dumb.
He's calling it the Matrix.
Fuck out of here, man.
And pretty reasonable for me to sit here and go, I understand what they thought. They put me in jail for the news. They might find something. But they did, because it doesn't exist. I don't hurt anybody.
Pause. I don't hurt anybody. Now, I'm not saying Andrew hurt anybody, but
we
I'm
don't know.
Showing you what the allegations are. And the prosecutor is actually going to trial on what he claims in the indictment. The prosecutor has evidence. People are saying, "Oh, the indictment doesn't mean anything." Anyone can.
It does.
No. The indictment is the state accepting the charges, and the prosecutor is going to trial to defend the statements that he made in the indictment. So the prosecutor has evidence of everything that he's claiming happened in this indictment. Okay, so one of the victim summaries, they specifically mentioned that him and his quote-unquote bottom bitch subjected the victim to physical violence. And I don't know what level of physical violence this is.
That's the question. We don't know.
It could be a punch. I have no idea.
Or a simple shove.
A hit from the bottom bitch. It could be a hit from Andrew.
We don't know.
So here's another image regarding his rape charge. And since there's 2 incidents of rape here on 1.3.2, you can see by exerting physical violence. This is actually described in more detail in one of the other documents that was obtained where he punched the victim in the head and then raped her. So this one is in regard into his rape charge. So they mention physical violence. And here is another victim summary that's in the indictment where they also mention by exercising
physical violence.
So we have 3 incidents where it was specifically mentioned physical violence that are tied into Andrew's charges. I don't know the details of those other than what they said for the rape, where he allegedly punched her in the head, either before raping her or during raping her. I'm not sure. A lot of these documents are, they come in, like the chats come in English, they get translated to Romanian,
right?
And then they get translated back to English, and sometimes there's some formatting issues. Regarding Tristan, it's alleged that he instructed both Georgiana and Luana to cause physical harm to a victim who wanted to quit. Luana did not do that. She ignored his request. Georgiana actually physically abused the victim. So she has additional charges for violence, for abuse, and Tristan has an additional charge for instigating violence, who came under his instruction to do so. And again, Tristan is pushing the same narrative that this all revolves around TikTok. And for his indictment, it's exactly the same. It's OnlyFans. It's TikTok is a very small part of this. So there's OnlyFans that's primarily mentioned. There's incitement to violence. So this whole narrative that this is about TikTok is just verifiably and embarrassingly false. I can't believe their legal team is allowing them to push this false narrative.
Can you also just briefly talk about, because I think it's important while we're talking about the bottom bitches, the kind of abuse and psychological abuse. There was one of the women tried to escape out of the house, right? Half naked.
Yeah. So what happened specifically was she was thrown out of the house, and this is tied into the act of violence here. She was stripped down, half naked. She was thrown out of their house with no belongings. That woman then went to the police station asking for help. And this shows you, because there's a lot of low-level corruption that's happening in Romania, and the local police, because Luana used to be a police officer.
Right.
So there's a lot of low-level corruption going on, and this is how they got away with this for so long. So how did they get away with this for so long?
Boom.
Because local police were covering for them. And there's actually a lot of arrests happening now in Romania with some of these low-level police due to their covering up evidence and human trafficking. So
damn.
Gets thrown out of the house half naked. She runs to the police, and instead of helping the victim, the police actually called Luana to come back and get her.
Oh my God.
Right out of a horror movie, right? It's like you're trying to get your captor, you run to the police and they call your captor to come and get you. And
fucking sick.
That's horrific.
And then while she was
that's demonic and frightening.
Was it Georgiana? that accessed the computer.
Oh my fucking God.
She was gone. Georgiana illegally accessed her laptop, illegally accessed her private Facebook account, and private WhatsApp account, and she distributed pornographic images of this victim to her friends and family through these platforms. And it's alleged that she did so in front of other girls with the threat of this can also happen to you. So because of that, Georgiana took two additional charges for accessing a computer.
That makes sense.
Right. For something about distribution. I don't remember what the exact charge is.
Right.
And everybody in my past loves me and likes me because I'm a very nice man.
We can tell.
So that explains that. Anybody who pulls up any video from before 2021 is not related to the case. Because the case is in 2021.
Pause. We're going to go back to this again. You know, we have to keep showing this.
2016.
2021 is only for the charge of forming an organized criminal group.
Mm-hmm.
The human trafficking element begins in
2016.
Andrew's own videos have been transcribed. They're in the case file. And all of this begins in 2016.
Dumb.
So this, again, is very probably false.
Dumb.
Me and my brother formed an organized criminal group with the intention of making girls do TikTok for our own financial gain.
Pause. So the charge of organized crime is very specific. It's not because they're trying to steal TikTok money.
No.
This is from the indictment themselves.
Clearly.
It says the actions of the defendant, Andrew Tate.
This is fucking dumb.
At the beginning of 2021 on the territory of Romania, together with the defendant Tristan Tate and the defendants Luana Radu and Georgiana Nagao, they formed an organized criminal group with the purpose of committing on the territory of Romania and other states such as USA and UK, primarily for the crime of human trafficking. That's the primary reason for forming the organized criminal group. Through the actions of recruiting victims carried out by the defendants Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and subsequently under their coordination through the actions of sheltering and transporting the victims carried out by involving the defendants Luana Radu and Georgiana Nagao with the aim of obtaining significant amounts of money, forcing the victims to engage in pornographic activities for the production and distribution of pornographic materials using the website onlyfans.com for this purpose, and suggesting them to force labor using the website tiktok.com. So TikTok is just, you notice it's at the end. TikTok was used as a gateway. It was used to break girls in. We already went over this early on. So the actual organized crime charge itself is primarily due to human trafficking for the purpose of forcing the women to engage in pornographic activities. And specifically, Andrew and Tristan were, their part of this was that they recruited the women. They deceived the women, and all of them helped transport the women back to Romania. And that's when their enforcers and the bottom bitches would then take over, and they would start getting hit from all sides. The bottom bitches and enforcers would start manipulating them and start pushing them onto TikTok, while at the same time, the brothers would be chatting with them and talking about various things, trying to get them to take pornographic photos while the girls are trying to get pushed into working on TikTok. While there's one particular victim chat where Andrew is trying to push the girl to take a pornographic video with one of the girls, where he wants her to put her, excuse my language, he wants her to put her pussy in the other girl's face. The girl doesn't want to do that, and he keeps pushing her with the whole, if you love me, you're going to do
And that's what got her with the rape. Sick.
That he does to get her to actually do this thing. And while they're getting hit with two fronts on this, through the enforcers and through Andrew and the guys, they're breaking the girl's boundaries down step by step, because once you get her to actually make a pornographic video or take a pornographic photo, well, then why don't you make money on it on OnlyFans? You've already done the act. You might as well make money now. So
right. Makes sense.
Documented system that they had to break these women down to eventually get them into some form of pornography or OnlyFans or webcam. So that is what organized crime is about. The girls did not have access to, with OnlyFans, they did not have access to their admin. They did not know how much money they were making. They were paid in cash when it came to OnlyFans. Georgiana would collect the money and pay them actual cash. The girls are alleging that they think they were being ripped off. Andrew has made videos, and even in his course, he said that even if you promise a girl 50%, you lie to the girl, you can make up fake tax documents.
Coercion.
And you can say you have to take an additional 20% out for taxes.
Sick.
Pay.
Tax evasion.
You can actually increase your profitability by stealing an additional 20% from the girls who even agreed to 50%.
Huh?
So there are levels of exploitation on this, and if they tried to quit, obviously they were punished.
The only two victims are the two girls who say they are not victims. The two girls who were kidnapped were supposed to be victims but escaped the kidnapping.
Pause. Again, they were not kidnapped. Nobody's charged with kidnapping. Nobody's
None.
kidnapping.
There's no finances in the file. Nobody can find a single proof of any money that was made.
Pause. As I mentioned earlier, when they were indicted, DICOT announced that there's a second investigation, an interim investigation that's just getting started. They are looking into their possibility of, they're looking into their possible involvement of trafficking of minors, additional human trafficking, money laundering, and other possible charges that are currently unnamed. So when they're talking about finances, they're looking at money laundering. That's for the second investigation. At the end of that 180-day period, they were still investigating these crimes, so they had to disjoin them to create a second investigation. So we might get a second indictment for additional charges, trafficking minors, additional human trafficking, and money laundering. So Andrew's saying that finances are not part of this case. Right, they've been moved to a second case, and they're gonna have to answer to that eventually.
That's the current criminal investigation, and we are now waiting for a Romanian judge to analyze the file and decide whether we are guilty of this crime or not.
Pause really quick. Right now, they're in what's called the preliminary chamber. They're not waiting for a judge right now to analyze the files to see if they're guilty or not. The preliminary chamber, the judge is actually making sure that all of the evidence was acquired legally. Right. And making sure that all the evidence is being disclosed to the actual defense team themselves.
Wow.
And if anything was obtained illegally, or the judge is like, no, this doesn't pass the sniff test, that's going to be actually removed from the evidence. So that can take up to 60 days. It's called the preliminary chamber.
Makes sense.
And then to do exactly that and to be fair. And then after that, there's going to be another conversation as to whether women can go around and accuse 7, 8, 9, 10 people of kidnapping on repeat whenever they don't get the handbag they want. And is there going to be any consequences to that? And we'll see.
Pause. So the girl that he's going to claim has been kidnapped, who didn't actually accuse him of kidnapping her, they filed a lawsuit on this particular girl. She's being sued in the United States right now because she is a United States citizen. And the girl who she helped, she was trying to help get out of that situation, she's not an American citizen. She does not live in the United States, but they added her name to the actual lawsuit itself.
Right.
My guess is they were attempting to dox her to get her name out there so their fans can intimidate the victims, as they did the first time the victim's name was released.
Right.
It's important to note, because he's saying that this particular victim has accused 7 men of kidnapping her or human trafficking her. That is verifiably false. We do have the documentation. We have the Florida lawsuit. There is no mention whatsoever of her involvement in accusing 7 men of kidnapping her or accusing 7 men of human trafficking her. Now, she's no angel. She said a lot of dumb things.
Yes.
It's important to note that the majority of things that she has been accused of happened when she was under the age of 18. One of the men in that lawsuit that they're saying that was innocent, he was convicted. He was 57, 58 years old. He was convicted of having sex with this victim multiple times when she was 15 years old. So in that Florida lawsuit, they're alleging that this man was innocent, and the victim somehow made false allegations against this man and landed him in prison. Okay, so he was convicted of having sex with her multiple times. He is also convicted of having sex with another minor, and they actually have documentation through a private investigator of this man sexually abusing her through a window. I don't know if it was photos or videos, but the mother hired a private investigator, and they actually caught him through documentation of him sexually abusing this girl. So the allegation that this man is innocent is
false.
False.
So this all began with a girl accusing us of kidnapping her. A girl we have the CCTV to prove was never kidnapped.
Okay, pause again. She wasn't kidnapped. The CCTV proves nothing because there's no kidnapping. It's
irrelevant.
Trafficking. About
you're manipulating again.
Or how that girl actually got manipulated to go to Romania in the first place. The intent was to deceive her into commercial sex work.
Isn't it interesting that she's accused 7 other men of kidnapping her in her life?
Verifiably false, accusing those 7 men of kidnapping. You can access the Florida document yourself. I'm not going to put more documents up on screen just for the privacy of the victims. And a lot of that stuff is just nonsense.
Bullshit.
I don't know. 60 or 70% on that case is built entirely on hearsay.
Yeah.
It comes on the back of another case. Tate's lawyer is representing another guy who's also trying to sue this victim. There's a lot of shenanigans happening.
The damage to my reputation,
juicy,
my company, to my life, I've spent time in jail, is basically incalculable because I'm an extremely high net worth individual. billions, perhaps.
Arrogant.
So Andrew Tate claims that maybe he's worth billions. Now, this particular clip, and we're putting this out here for fun, just because Andrew's lied through 99.9% of this entire video. This is a clip of Andrew. It was either the end of 2020 or the end of 2021. Just play the clip, and Andrew can tell you how much money he actually has.
Welcome to the real world. I make $10 million a year, and guess how much I spend up to $10 million? Fuck it all. It's all gone. I blast it.
You dummy.
$10 million. I spend all of it. Fuck you. Fuck you. It's all coming to an end. You, me, Tristan, all of it's coming to an end.
Dumbass.
Die and go to jail this year.
So we don't know how much money Andrew Tate makes. We don't know if he was being serious in that video. We just tossed this in there.
Yeah.
But I'm not the person who lost the most. You want to talk about her as a predator who's accused 7 men of kidnapping her every time they won't buy her a handbag.
False. Verifiably false.
Mm-hmm.
One of those men killed himself. It's public record. Look it up. The pressure was so large, he killed himself.
Okay, this is true. One of her exes did kill himself, but there is currently no evidence that she is to blame for that suicide.
We don't know.
This gentleman apparently had a history of depression, and the Tates are alleging, and I believe the brother of that gentleman is alleging that the victim had something to do with that suicide. So I've seen nothing to actually prove that she was responsible for the suicide, but this young gentleman unfortunately did kill himself. We don't know why.
Not everybody is like my brother and I, where they can throw us in a Romanian dungeon with the cockroaches knowing we're completely innocent and will remain iron-minded.
Pause. Okay, this Romanian dungeon that he's talking about was actually a newly remodeled facility. Well, it was an old facility. They remodeled it. It was newly remodeled.
6 months.
They had new beds. They had LCD TVs. They had smart lighting. So it was not a Romanian dungeon at all. Now, if he's convicted and sentenced to prison, that is going to be a Romanian dungeon. That's going to be hell on earth. But the facility that he was in during the pretrial detention, that was a newly remodeled facility.
Okay.
So he painted this whole picture of it being hell on earth, and that just simply is not true. You can look that up yourself.
Not everybody can deal with that kind of pressure when they know they've done nothing wrong. A man killed himself, and she continues to accuse people of kidnapping or rape when she doesn't get what she wants.
Deflecting as usual.
That'd be a far more interesting story to look into.
Pause. We did look into this. And that's why we've made this video, and we have looked into the Florida story. He should hope that the mainstream media and independent journalists do not look into this, because the case is actually quite ridiculous. And it's important to point out that what they're doing right now is victim intimidation.
Yeah.
They are suing her because she made claims that she was a victim, that she was involved in a potential human trafficking network. So they're suing her to try to completely discredit her, as well as to frighten any other possible woman who might be trying to come forward to say that she is also a victim. So this is victim intimidation on multiple levels.
If the MSN and these right-wingers actually cared about the truth.
God has put us on this path.
God has put us on this path.
What?
That is the most ridiculous that he can say. He's being charged with human trafficking.
Oh my
charged
God.
with rape. And in the United Kingdom, there's another civil case that's getting started. There are 4 women in the UK who are accusing him of sexual assault. There's a new investigation that involves their possible involvement in trafficking minors. God has nothing to do with this, Andrew.
Oh my God.
Awaken the world to perhaps the predatory crime this girl likes to indulge in. And in the end, justice shall be served. So, all in all, we're very positive.
I believe in truth, I believe in justice, and I believe in the Romanian judicial system. And I believe in the end, truth will prevail and justice will be served.
Agreed.
Anybody who puts together any edit of any video that's older than 2021 doesn't understand, has nothing at all to do with the criminal case.
Yeah, we've already proven that that's verifiably false. This case starts in 2016 for human trafficking.
And anybody now on the right who's attacking me in perfect sync overnight with all these other accounts is simply a matrix agent which has been activated by the people in charge.
Fuck you.
The MSN is no longer working. It's bouncing off of me because people love truth and they love honesty.
Well, I like to say they were activated by my viral video. I don't think it was the Matrix.
Yeah, this is crazy. Again, it's a Matrix attack. No, you made a viral video because he went on Tucker claiming all of these things were not true. So you made a video, it went viral. People who follow each other shared that video, and now it's a Matrix attack.
It's ridiculous.
I hope this has given you all some
self-snitching.
I understand there are accounts on the internet who keep pulling up these files they found and these conversations they found, all these garbage papers, etc.
He's talking about you.
Yeah, he's talking. Yeah, so the viral video is you, and then these documents are me and some of the other people who have been trying to let people know that there's another side to this story. So again, all of these files were obtained legally through Romania's Freedom of Information Act. You can look at the image on the screen right now. The image on the left is the actual, and we're just focused on the indictment here. This indictment was emailed to us directly from the Bucharest court. We requested this document. This is the indictment document, and you can see the email for the Public Relations Department. You can verify that email for yourself. You can contact them yourself. You can get the same documentation that we have to prove that the Tate brothers are 100% lying to you about their entire case, their involvement in pornography. When they quit making pornography, it is all a verifiable lie. And if you want to put in the work to actually get this documentation, you can get it yourself. All the documents that we're getting are obtained in the same way.
He's the one who's really pushing this thing of don't believe any documentation, don't believe anything else but what I say.
Oh my
That's
God.
the only thing that you can believe. Whereas for you and I, we're saying, guys,
believe evidence.
Here's the receipts.
Yeah, do research.
Yeah, let me say this. I'm not saying, I mean, I have my own opinions of what's going to happen. But by exposing these lies and documents, I'm not telling you that Andrew Tate is guilty. All I'm saying is he's lying to you. I personally believe that he will be found guilty of human trafficking, but I'm not telling you that he's guilty. I'm saying look at the actual documentation coming out of Romania so you can see that he's lying to you and Tristan is lying to you about everything. And then once you realize that they're lying about things that they don't even have to lie about, then you have to ask the question, what else are they lying about? And you have to start unpeeling those layers of lies to figure out what's actually going on. Now, here's the thing. Yes, any victim can come forward and claim anything that happened to them. In this particular case, there are 7 victims. There are multiple witnesses. There are verified chat transcripts from the brothers to the victims themselves. There are Andrew's video statements. There are Andrew's courses that he sold. Everything corroborates the actual victim statements themselves. So the odds of this not happening, highly unlikely.
Slim to none. And I got to agree with this gentleman right here. I don't want to pass judgment because it's still ongoing. But things aren't really looking good for the Tates and their associates literally right now. And in the years to come, with all these other investigations literally popping up, not just in Romania, but possibly in the UK as maybe United States, but who knows?
They were indicted. This is going to trial. Could they be found, could they beat this case? Sure. It's
possible.
It can happen.
But it's going to be very difficult to.
And I don't comment on the rate because, there's not a lot of information out on that. But for human trafficking, yeah, they're going to get it for that and probably for organized crime as well. But I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying that's my own personal belief based on the documentation that I've seen. I just urge you to do your own work. Don't fall for trust me, bro. Right? Look at the documents, get them yourself if you don't believe us. And just entertain the idea that, wow, if he's lying about something so silly as charges that anyone can find the truth about, what else can they be lying about?
I actually don't want to talk about this case. We're not allowed. It's very hard for me to talk about it. But when all of this concludes, in due time, I'd be very interested in having your attention to sit and do a long format video to explain to you exactly how this matrix attack happened from head to toe, explaining every single detail of it, and you'll just understand exactly how innocent I am. If I was truly guilty of doing these things, I would still be in jail.
Pause. Like, why stop? Right, you had to get one more line in there, right? Now, here's another misconception. If he was truly guilty, he would still be in jail. And a lot of people love this argument. How can he be in jail for crimes where he hasn't even been to trial for yet? Okay? He was put in jail when they arrested him in December as a preventative measure because they believed through their investigations and through wiretaps that he was going to, number one, flee the country. Number two, that he had the possibility to actually intimidate victims and witnesses. And number three, they were worried that he was going to tamper with evidence and possibly destroy evidence. So they were in jail for roughly 3 months. And during that time, they searched every one of his properties. They searched every device that he has, all the computers. And if you remember, when he was coming and going, him and Tristan would be, they would be brought in a van and they would be taken into a garage door. A lot of those walks into Dicot, those were for the actual device searches themselves. So the brothers had to come there with their lawyers They had to give DICOT permission to open the devices, and they had to be there while those devices were being searched.
Okay.
And search for actual evidence. So their lawyers had to be there, the Tates had to be there. It all had to be approved, so it's all legit. And that's why you saw them coming in and out of that van, going under the garage door so many times. A lot of that was for devices that were being searched. So they were not in jail they were not in jail for punishment of their crimes.
No.
They were in jail to stop them from interfering with the investigation. Once that stage of the investigation ended and they satisfied the judges and made them believe that they would not flee, their passports were confiscated, and then they were given house arrest. What's going to happen next? Eventually, it could happen next month. It could happen, next year. Eventually, they're going to get what's called judicial control, which is a form of bail. That means they'll be free to run around Romania, but they will not be allowed to leave Romania. They will have to report to the authorities at some interval to let them know where they're at. We've done historical deep dives into other cases in Romania, human trafficking, people who've been charged with the exact same things, even people charged with attempted murder. They all get judicial control. So the only reason that they might not get judicial control is that they have evidence that they are planning an escape and they could flee, or if the Tates do something where they violate the terms of their house arrest agreement. They did have one judge in one of their appeals who believed that they could be put on judicial control. And that's one judge out of 25. They've seen 25 different judges since their arrest, and one judge out of 25 thought that they were ready for judicial control. The misconception is, and the narrative that the brothers pushed, is that one judge saw the evidence and determined that the evidence was weak or there was no evidence. It had nothing to do with the evidence.
Right.
It was about, they just believed that they no longer had to be on house arrest and they could be released to judicial control. They brought in
the still on investigation, no, it's on trial.
Agreed that they needed to remain on house arrest as a preventative measure. It had nothing to do with lack of evidence or that there was no evidence or that they wanted to throw out the case. That's verifiably false as well.
And I'm at home. And soon I will be free. So, I hope that's some clarification. If you are not satisfied with the answer I've given you, you're unfortunately going to have to wait to the end of the trial. But I would say, for anybody with a brain who understands what I'm saying, we all understand how dates work. I'd like to think everybody at home understands a calendar. Considering that my case is pertaining to 2021 and onward.
False. Man, I thought we were going to be finished with this. Does human trafficking begins in 2016? We've already proved that.
Anything before 2021 has nothing to do with it. Hope you can work that one out.
We did. We actually we worked that out. We literally worked that out and just debunked every single lie that you told.
Dummy.
I also think that everybody at home with a brain understands that when 15 to 20 right wingers are activated overnight with the same message, instantly told to attack somebody who just managed to achieve the largest interview in television history.
Pause. So he's talking about the interview for the largest interview in history. And he showed in the beginning of this video a graphic of Andrew Tate on the Wikipedia page being the largest TV interview in history. Well, somebody, obviously a fan, went to Wikipedia and actually put that in, but Wikipedia quickly removed that.
Dummies.
Michael Jackson still remains number one. Andrew Tate was removed. And look at the top there. This is the list of most watched television interviews. And Andrew Tate is obviously not aware that that interview with Tucker
Big
Carlson
dummy
was not on television. It was on the internet. So he was removed from this list. A good interview. He lied about most of it.
Yes.
He was removed from the list. So even the last thing he said is verifiably false.
That tells you a lot more about who they are than why.
Oh my God.
Okay. On that note, I want to close by saying this. I personally do not like what those guys stand for.
Me neither.
In regards to the misogyny and their involvement in the sex industry, etc. But I also want to say that I do believe, or I hope they get a fair trial. Up to this point, there's been no indication that there's been any corruption whatsoever. If there were some level of corruption happening, their own lawyers would step up and say so. Their lawyers have not indicated or made any statements whatsoever about any corruption happening at any level. So I hope the brothers and their two accomplices have a fair trial, and I hope the victims receive the justice that they deserve.
I won't lie to you, man.
It's all coming to an end. You, me, Tristan, all of it's coming to an end. We're all either dying or going to jail.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. there you have it. You know, this is going to be a very, 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 very fun trial and further investigations to come when it comes to the gunning of Andrew Tate. Juicy, juicy, juicy. All right. Now I gotta go crash the bed. It's just, yeah. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate got very, very, very deep holes. And they digging themselves in much deeper ditch to literally get themselves out of right now. But I'm not going to really jump the gun all the way out and say they automatically guilty off the rip. But the chances of them really being in this case, in my personal opinion, is slim to none. But who knows? Can't really fully jump the gun all the way until the trial is over, right? And all the investigations are done. And trials are over in those cases as well. So with that, y'all have a good night. I am about to go crash. This stuff is literally insane.